Hey guys, welcome. My name is Leah, Leonella Cook, and I go by Leah. I work, my business is sandpaper and wax design. And today we are going to be doing Christmas ornaments, recycling your ugly Christmas ornaments. I don't see anybody yet, so I'm going to hang on for a second. But in the meantime, well, as you guys pop in, I'll show you what I've been doing. We used, so these are the before. I don't see anybody yet. Hope somebody joins us. Maybe. Ah, I see some eyeballs. Awesome. So today we are going to recycle those ugly Christmas ornaments. Um, here's one. It's nothing spectacular. And just regular old Christmas ornaments. These were some really old, ugly green and white ones. And I have about 20 of these just literally hanging around my house, empty, blank. I didn't know what to do with them. And the reason I'm doing this tutorial, one, because I believe in recycling and hey, Holly. Oh, Tumakin. For you let me know how to say that. That's a beautiful name. Hi, Becky. So anyway, recycling. You know, I think about how much waste we dump into and how fast, like Christmas stuff tends to be that fast decor. And we end up just, you know, so much of it ends up in the landfill. And we could reuse these and come up with different ways and fun things to do. So today's medium is milk paint. Another reason I chose this tutorial is because I want you guys to explore different colors. Today we're, you know, I'm not a typical paint with pink person, but how cute is that, right? With some, you can't really, it's kind of glaring at you, but really pretty, adding some pretty ribbon onto them. Here, this might be one of my favorite as I knock my tree over. How pretty is that? Oh, it's so pretty, really pretty marbleized look. And that's all done with milk paint. And this one's unique. The color is a bit different. You know, a lot of times you get stuck in that color of red and green, and it doesn't exactly go with our home. So it just clashes. And some people, you know, they really like things to match. So this is a fun way to do that. You can customize your decor. They're great gifts. How cute would these be on a little present, you know, for a little friend, adding it to as ribbon as a friend. These can go into garland on your table. Remember those placemats we did? How pretty are these colors with that really pretty green, like behind me, with some pinks and some, you know, that burlap. How pretty together that could be. So it doesn't have to be red and green. I see some really gorgeous pink poinsettias, and I am loving that we're introducing color into Christmas. So today we are going to talk about, and you know what, this is so good. So many people have asked me to teach some more milk paint. And I think this is a really good starting point if you've never used milk paint before. And there is a set that you can buy, all the colors. And it's fun because you're not committed to a giant bag of it. You're just got this little sample and you can try it out, because the best way to get some really gorgeous colors is by mixing. You can get some really beautiful greens, really gorgeous blues when you're adding in the yellows, stuff that you typically, an orange that you wouldn't use. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to have fun with color. This is just this. I hate practicing. I absolutely hate to practice. But the only way you get better is if you practice. So for me, to practice with something I'm going to use makes a lot of sense. And so you can have fun and explore and still feel like you're being productive and not just making samples. So here we go. I'm going to tell you what we need today and how to kind of set this up, because now you are going to play with color today. So I want you to write down what you're using. If you don't write it down, you're not going to remember, I promise you. I also want you to think about, how do we make a color darker? How do we make this lighter? How do we make this blue more green? So we're going to mix colors. We're going to think about color play. we're going to talk about monochromatics and how to do it correctly so it doesn't look, as Amy's favorite word, garish, and just have a lot of fun. So get ready to make a mess, because you know how I do. We make lots of messes. So what you're going to need today, we are going to need some seawool sponges. Get some mixing bowls. I use, for when I play with color, these little souffle cups. They're really fun, and you can just toss them. I know, recycle, but at least it's tiny. I do use plastic spoons, but I always reuse them. I use this for drying. I know there's some mamas out there. This thing is awesome. When I'm working on small little things and and it collects the paint underneath, and you could just rinse it all out. So super easy when you're working on Christmas stuff. Because look, stick your screwdriver there, and now you got a way to hold it without getting everywhere. We will need paint brushes. So you want to think about scale. What are you painting? Use smaller brushes. Amy has some really great artist brushes that you could use. Just scale is really important. When you're doing pieces like behind me, you use your big brush. But when you're doing something small and with fine detail, you really want to make sure your scale is correct. Something kind of different today, we're going to use some eyedroppers. You can use a pipette. But you want a positive brush, you want a negative brush. Positive puts the paint on, negative is going to take that paint off. If you want to use the glass beads, we're going to use that towards the end. Make sure you have I put Amy Howard's antiquing glaze in there. I have it. And then I always have something to rinse it off. So make sure you have a separate rinse off station, because otherwise you're just going to muddy up your color. The colors we will be working with today, we've got Party in the Grove and that really cute little pink one. And I never paint with this stuff. So this is like first time using really this one. Debutante, really sweet color. We're also going to use Lagastavian, which is so on trend right now. Those pinks, the Japandi colors, that soft decor. So practice using those. We're going to use it in combination with Linen Apron and white. Here's some more. We've got Herb Garden, and these are fun. They're really pretty together. And I'll show you how to mix to make it not look so striking of a difference. And let's see, if you want to do your base color. So we're going to work with glass bulbs today. Because I need to use a hair dryer so I can keep up, make sure we're staying in time. But word of warning, if you use a plastic bulb, just let it dry. Go wash the dishes or mop the floor or do something else. But don't use the heat gun on your plastic ornament. They will melt. And I'm so sad because I really loved this one. And then I used the heat gun. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was instantaneous. So don't use the heat gun for plastics. And you can use them for glass. Just really be careful. Glass conducts heat very easily, very quickly. So make sure we don't want to hurt ourselves, burn ourselves really light, not too hard with the hair dryer. Low setting. So before we even get started, we're starting with this glass. I'm going to turn you guys down so we can start watching, and we'll get right into it. This is fun to do. You know, holidays are coming and we're excited to be with our family, and you're stuck inside with your kids up north. If you're starting to get snow, this is something fun to do with your kids too, because milk paint is non-toxic. So here we go. This is absolutely my favorite medium. So much fun to play with. Okay, so before we even start, so this is plastic. I'm not going to work with this one today because I have to use the heat gun. But just like plastic, just like the glass, we're going to clean it with one step. And then, or we're going to clean it with clean slate. Handy dandy clean slate. I go through this stuff like water. We'll clean it off and then we'll one step it. All right. So I'm all about recycling. I have tons of little kids' clothes that are either stained and personalized, and they make the best rags. So why not? So we're going to go ahead and clean that off. Just like that, you know, fingerprints, candy canes, whatever was stuck on it, tree sap from the year before. So just make sure you go ahead and clean it off. You're going to let that dry, and just we'll sake of time, we're moving to a different one. Actually, I'll show you the excuse me, with the paint. So here I have, we're using Bauhaus Buff. Now you can use a dark base if you like. That's up to you. I wanted to make lighter ornaments. I wasn't really wanting to have dark ornaments. Hey, Miss Patty. And so we're going to do that. Bauhaus Buff's great. So one step, really easy paint. It's chalk-based paint. It's going to stick. You're not going to have to worry about it. I use a working cup. I paint a lot. I paint all day long, as you'll see by my fingers. And I don't like to waste. So I like to use a working cup. That way my can doesn't get all gunky and the paint doesn't thicken faster than it needs to because of that open time. When you use your chip brushes, I always go ahead and get them a little bit wet. You don't want to start with a dry brush necessarily, and you don't want to start with a soaking brush. But so I just kind of dampen it a little bit. And then now you could do this in a couple of different ways. You can use a sponge brush. You could, I mean, you could use the Seagull sponge, but I really want a full coverage. I don't want to see that color underneath. So we're just going all around. And what's cool about this style is it's not perfect. So don't stress yourself out. Nice and easy, nice coverage. You know, you could come back and do 2 coats if you really feel like you're still seeing the color from underneath, because some of those old ornaments are just hideous. I will show you one in a second. I had to do 2 coats on because the pattern kept coming through. So just like that, nice and easy. This one had to take 2 coats. It's plastic. It had raised edges on it. So this ended up having to take 2 coats. And I'll show you what one finish looks like in a second. So go ahead. We're going to take our heat gun. Remember, be super careful here. I also want to point out, do not paint the old mercury glass ones and then heat it with the heat gun. Holy moly. Those are vintage. Those are super vintage. They're actually worth a lot of money. So don't paint your mercury great grandma ornaments. Paint the junky ones you bought from the year before or 2 years ago, whatever. So here we are. How fast that dried. So fast. Make sure you put your brushes in some water. We don't want to ruin them if you're just continuing to work. So our first color, we are going to start with a blue. I think it's easier to see for the camera. The pink is so light and you really have to have patience. And we'll still do it. We'll do it quick. We'll do a quick one. But we're going to start with, this is Party in the Grove. Oh, I really like this color. It's so, so pretty. And it's just a 1-to-1 mix. Now, when you're doing these, you can make it a little thicker. Oop, I am making a mess. I would actually make that a bit thicker. So I'm gonna thicken it up a tiny bit. New spoon. Because it you know, you're gonna feel like you're putting watercolor on the ball. Sorry. Making a mess. So I want you to think about your setup. You're gonna have all your colors that you really want to try to play with. And right next to it, go ahead and put another cup next to it. I also want you to go ahead and have a already ready-made white. What does white do? White lightens. White lightens and will mute your color. It's a neutral color, so it's going to change ever so slightly. With milk paint, this is what happens. So you got to make sure you agitate. We're agitating this paint. All right. And so while I make one color, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that color into a little souffle cup because I want to do a really close monochromatic color, staying in the same color family, just lightening it up. I also want to note that if you guys are mixing colors, write down your recipe. If you don't, I promise you, it's just a good habit to get into, and ask me how I know. I have done huge pieces, run out of paint on one side, and no matter how hard I tried, I actually couldn't replicate the same color, at least enough that it wasn't noticeable. So, uh, when you're mixing, you want to know how much you're putting in. So, and make a color card, put something down, tap it with your finger. So here we've got our dark. I'm going to start with our dark first. Sometimes you can start with a light. It's really up to you. I would like to start with a dark and then go to light and then blend as I go. So for that first coverage coat, you can add some milk paint binder if you like, if you don't want to do multiple coats. But here, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. There is a huge difference of what it dries when it has binder and when it doesn't. So just going over really quick and easy. Also, what I love about milk paint, it dries so fast. So it makes projects for impatient people like myself, because I just want to finish. There we go. I love that color all day long. I don't know. I'm a blue person. Hey, Robin from Vegas. Oh, man. Vegas. I haven't been there in ages. Okay. So here we go. We got that really pretty blue. I'm going to go ahead and grab our heat gun real quick. Look at that difference. Do you see the difference from when you come from here to here? Now, like the cabinet behind me, guys, when you add wax or you add any of, like, you could use the furniture oil that will deepen the color. You can also do that on these too. And this is, like I said, everything is a way to learn and still use all this new knowledge. And you're not going to get bored, because that's my problem too. I get bored. All right, rinse out that brush. We are going to go ahead and we're going to move into our seeable sponge. Before you use these, guys, I want you to go ahead and wet it down. You don't want to just stick this into the paint. It's going to sop up all your paint that you've mixed and worked so hard for. So go ahead and wet it, wring it out. You never want to start with an actually dry tool, because otherwise it's just going to absorb everything you do. All right. And again, scale really matters. We're working with something small. You want something small, even if you think it'll be faster. So we're gonna use that paint that we mixed. We added a little bit of white, and we're just gonna dip that in. Now, at first, it's gonna look like, you guys, it's gonna look like the same color. Just bear with me. It's not. It's gonna dry lighter. And so here, you're just moving it all around. Move it all around, all around, all around, all around. Don't stay in the same place. It's gonna look like like a machine did it. So do you see that? Just really easy, super simple. We're looking at the colors. We're learning about our colors. Now let's see what this looks like after we dry it. All right, so look how pretty that is. So simple. You could stay here with this. You don't even have to go any further. It's so subtle. It's so pretty. You add some wax to this and a little bit of dark wax if you want. And now you have such a beautiful monochromatic color. But we don't have to stay here. We can go a little bit further. Let's get crazy. Why not? All right. So we're gonna take some of that white. This is white. Ooh, it's sticky. Make sure agitate again. Little paintbrushes. I'd have a bunch of little, junk art brushes. Save the Amy's brushes for when you can do marbleizing with this. How beautiful would these be as marbleized Christmas balls? Gorgeous. Okay, so we're gonna use this eyedropper, and we're gonna go ahead and pick this up. Now get ready. It's gonna get messy, and you might not love it, but this is fun. So just go ahead. We're just gonna kind of drop white all over the place. Yeah, I know. Like you're like, what are you doing, Leah? And then we're gonna take our negative tool here, and we're just gonna kind of just move that around. Yeah. No, but look what's happening. I want you to see what's happening. When you mix that white with the original dark color, do you see some green? More green. How pretty is that? Now accent that with wax and dust of ages and all of, oh, I mean, this is just beautiful. How beautiful is this? And it's effortless. You can also do, um, what I like to do is it's called fly specking. So you're going to take your brush, a nice long, what number is this one? Script liner. Really great brush. I have a lot of these. I use these for detail. And so you could do white. You can go ahead and mix mica powder or glazed over and some black and do some fly specking with this. But I do recommend you add a little, and we have to make a note because if we don't note that we put alcohol into this. So why do we put alcohol into that milk paint? Can anybody tell me? Anybody know why? Because it's going to evaporate, right? So it's not going to leave like a full coverage dark white. It's going to evaporate because alcohol evaporates. And it'll kind of just leave the ever so lightly fleck of it. So you're going to go ahead and set your ball up. When you do fly specking, you're going to take another brush to knock with, and you're going to just tap. And you can fly spec like that. You know, when you see those Gustavian pieces that are like $7,000, and you and I all know that those are painted recently. Anyway, not get into that one, but that's what they're doing. They're fly specking. Can you see that? Tiny little dots, as if it was, in a house covered in something, people walking by it, smoshing through mud. So just a little bit of fly specking there. If it's too much for you, go ahead, take that negative tool. It's just slightly damp, and you can just ever so lightly dampen that off. How pretty is that? Let's go ahead and finish this one really quick. So now you guys can see this with some wax and some dust of ages, and we're moving on. So simple, dries so fast. Let's see. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move to that debutante with and if you guys really want to see the finish, I will go ahead and post that for you because I don't want to run over. Your time is precious, so is mine. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and where to go? Here we go. We're going to use this guy for our debutante. We're going to start with this debutante here. It still looks so white on camera, but it's not, I promise. It's a really soft pink. And when you do that, just don't get frustrated because there's a good chance that you're going to be like, this is still white. I don't see the difference. once it all dries. And here at like this pink would be really pretty if you wanted to do a contrast with, you know, muting down that campfire. Mute this down a little bit so it's almost a light orange. You could start playing with some coral colors. How pretty would that be? Doing something like that. I mean, I could be here all day with you guys, but let's not do that. You won't like me. We're going to add in some milk paint binder. Now this binder is great if you're working on non-porous surfaces, like not wood, not plaster or anything. Like this is great for glass when you're working with glass or plastics. It's like essentially a glue for the milk paint, binding glue. So I added that in because that way it's not going to wipe off as easy. This ball is a little smaller. I'm going to use a smaller brush. Just make sure that that binder is incorporated pretty well. And now we're just going to add that pink in. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Patricia. I know I love blues. I love blues. I love greens. They're my favorites. Pink, I'm starting to warm up to pink. Maybe because I have all boys and one girl and she's all grown. All right. So here we are. I am going to hit this with the hair dryer. We're moving on in a sec. All right, I want to be super careful with this one because this one is plastic. It's not as fragile as this plastic ball. Again, if you're using these, make sure we're not, yeah. Otherwise, they're just literally melt in your hand. Okay, so the contrasting color, oh, there's so many. I'm so torn. I'm sorry, guys. Scatterbrain. Even if you want to do like my linen apron, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't used these colors, please get the sample set because I never would have bought half of these colors. And now I really enjoy using them. I use them to mix new colors, to come up with different color schemes. And seriously, I really highly recommend it. If I can't recommend anything more, I know it's $99. I know that kind of seems kind of pricey, but think about all the colors you're getting and Christmas. That's a great Christmas present. So, or Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead. And I know this looks like nothing with white. We're going over it with white. And it depends on how much you want peeking through. Do you want more pink? Do you want more white? So a lot of times, and you can pull it off. And now we didn't even get to use antiquing glaze. So the antiquing glaze has a color to it, right, guys? It's brown. What does brown do to green? Or what does brown do to blue? It gives it like a really pretty green hue, and then it will muddy down a blue. Oh, I mean, like the potentials are limitless. So really practice, have fun with this. All right, we're gonna dry this quick. Ah, hot. Okay. And now you can see it ever so slightly. How pretty and subtle is that? Can you see? Ah, so subtle. Now, this is great to use the beads. Oh my goodness, because it's so sweet and so pretty and so lovely that this is a great opportunity to do that. So we are going to do it. We are going to add Amy Howard's Antilia beads. Now, the best way to apply this is by using a palette knife. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. And because we're not using a stencil, you really want to make sure you're using a palette knife because you want the beads to be flat as you spread it on. You don't want a big pile because then they're no longer translucent. you're going to end up with a big clump of glass beads, and it really doesn't look all that attractive. So, and you're just gonna, we're doing this freehand since there's no stencil. I love freehand. I'm a wild child when it comes to paint. So just go ahead, even that out, nice and easy. Now that glue that you're seeing will dry clear. But if you have clumps, then it's not going to dry clear. It's going to dry white. I'm sorry. That's what happened to me the other day when I was playing with this. So we're going to spread these out, and you see it just like that. And don't worry if some are sticking up. That's okay. You can take those off once they're all dry. And now to finish this, what I would do is you're going to use glazed over. See, guys, there's so many, like once you have everything, it is so fun to play. You can play, and these are great gifts if you want to do gifts. I love homemade gifts. I think they are so thoughtful. I think to me they're really precious, and I take really good care of them. So yeah, that pink is so pretty. Loving the pink. And oh, Bulgaria. Oh, how cool. Welcome. Becklina. Hi. How cool is that? So we're going to go ahead, take a little dip of this glazed over. I know. Just put it right in the can. And we're going to take Amy Howard's. How pretty is this? Oh, so gorgeous. We are going to mix that in with our glazed over, just like that. I love this stuff. And you know what's even more fun is if you just do a little, oh, there's so much to do. I could teach you guys for hours with this stuff. You don't even have to put it on the beads if you want to kind of blend it in just with your finger. You could just add some like glitter, and I'll show you what it looks like on a finished piece. We're just adding, mix that in really well. We're going to just add a little bit on the ridges. How pretty would that be? So once this is all dry, I like to add the silver glaze at the end. For some reason, I like doing the bronze and the gold first. But for me, when I use that silver or pearl, I prefer it to be dry. And so I'm going to show you. When you mix the glaze, it's a 1-to-1, okay? You can add a little bit of water if you want to play with it and move it around. But show you from this one. This is added in. So that was added in after. Oh, I don't know which way. There you go. And see, I added just a little bit of that glaze with the mica powder at the end. So it kind of just all flowed together. And then this one's where I made a mistake. And I tried to rush it. I didn't let it dry enough, and it just started reactivating the Lagastavian. So wait till everything is dry with these beads before you go putting everything on. But I still like the way it turned out. It's not terrible. I did wax this one, so it looks a little rustier. And again, I added in the, how pretty is that? Just adding just a little bit. And I even took a little bit of gray because I wanted it to look like an old finish. So guys, the opportunities, you don't even have to, Karen, I'll show you other ones. If you just wanted to do white and put the beads on, how sweet and cute is that? This was just an old foam ball, Christmas ball. I painted it with the one step, and then I went ahead and put the beads. Now you can come back and you can put that glazed over with some really pretty sparkle on it, or I'll add a little bit of gold. This one, I was kind of getting a little wild. I wanted to try different colors. This is with the bronze. So what I did was I sponged on a pattern with that glazed over, and then put on my mica beads, and that's all I did. Or the mica beads, the glass beads, just like that. And I thought that was really pretty, very earth looking, very organic. So possibilities are endless. I highly recommend you get the sample set. I broke my gooseneck. So I highly recommend you get that sample set. play around, write down your recipes, have fun with this, because if you mess up, it was junk anyway. But now it's a treasure. And how sweet would that be as a gift? You know, you made a set of 6 or put it on some Christmas presents. How pretty would that be? Or in your garland on your table. And you've customized it to your colors. So when you're doing monochromatic, to make it lighter, add that white. If you want to make that color darker, you can go ahead and add blacks or browns. And always have that 1 cup next to it, so you always have your right base color, and you can adjust the colors and keep them together. I hope this helps. I can't wait to do more mug paint with you guys. And I appreciate you coming and tuning in. So get into the season. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And I will see you guys soon. Thank you.